Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's video. So I'm starting with the paint and the art wedge again. I've just done squirt of paint and I'm just using my brush, well no it's not a brush, an art wedge to make that little shape there. I'm going to put my photo in the top, the top middle section there where the bulk of it is. So I'm just making sure here that it's big enough. But the good thing about these art wedge are the little notches it has, so it makes those ridges and the texture in the paint as it moves around. So that's really awesome. So I've dried it in between the pink, and then so I'm just going to do some of this blue in different directions, but you can see how amazing that looks. And then I'm going to add some of the lighter blue, minty kind of colour just up there and a little bit down the bottom. So I just want to have, you can see I want to have if you envision the photo in the middle, then you can envision that there's a bit of paint happening on around it, and it goes in that more of a vertical kind of a style down the page. So I've dried it all off in between each layers, and I've just got it sitting there while I work on my photo layers. I don't know, other than wanting to do some kind of paint here with the art wedge and have my photo in the middle, I wasn't too sure what else I was going to do. So I work on it as I'm, looking at my kit and putting things together, and this is like top fave ever of one of my layouts. I really love this one. So I started there with some of the packaging from the, what was it called? I want to say Hello Love, but it's not Hello Love. All Heart collection from Crate Paper. Hello Love is so old. That's like when I first started scrapbooking. Goodness gracious. So I'm just adding different layers, different widths of the paper, just having it basically just seeing how it layers there with the colours. You've got the colours in the paint there to guide myself, so I don't use any of the yellow or anything, but there's enough on there, and I really like the cream and the black that's going on in the kit, so that's a really nice addition there. This photo is just a random photo that I took while I was cleaning and had the 80s music on, and I have my Whitney Houston 80s style, throwback to that time of our lives kind of era. Not that I was into music when I was in the 80s, but I love 80s music. It's funny, I don't have any memories of such as, because I turned 8 when, 1990 happened. So it's not like I was that old, but it is like my go-to, 80s and 90s. 80s more so, but 90s definitely if I'm in that mood. And I was heading away to a retreat that had an 80s night theme to it, so I'd purchased this shirt as one of the options to wear and was trialing it out, and I realised how comfy and loose fitting it was, so it was really nice to have. It was on clearance too, so that was a really good find. So you can see now I'm just putting the papers together. Now when I moved it over to just glance and see how it looked on my paint section there, I realised that I'd put the layers made them too bulky, and it was too big and covering up too much of my paint. So I kept it in both the processes of finding the paper but also adding it here, because you can see I'm cutting, well you can kind of see, I'm cutting down sections to make it look more condensed so that it's not taking up all that mixed media in the background. Because sometimes you put mixed media on there and you just want little pockets of it popping out, but in this stage, on this layout, I wanted a lot of it hanging. Well, I wanted enough around each of the sides of the photos. I didn't want only little pockets of it. So on it goes. You can see how much I cut off, but that's part of the process. Sometimes, sometimes I start with the layering of the photo and it's okay, I can work with that bulkiness and the size of it, because then it comes together that way. Other times you have to work like this and go, okay, yep, let's cut this down and that down and go with it. So worked out a really nice, concise and lovely photo layers going on there. And I'm just going to add this last one before I work on the rest of the layout. So Going to work next on the title. No, I'm not. I sit here and I work out, oh, I like it there. That's working really well. And then I remember this cut apart sheet that had that wake me up when I'm famous. And, you know, we all fancy ourselves a pretty awesome singer when we're singing to our broom and got the music up loud with the windows and doors opened and getting the house clean on a Saturday morning. So it was quite funny. I thought it'd be really fitting to have that title. But as I was putting it down, it looks just too clean in the background. So I pull out a little dab of each of the paint and I'm going to add water bit by bit to water it down, not too much. Still want the texture of the paint so that it's not see-through or anything or too liquidy where it just runs around. But I'm just going to flicker some ink splatters kind of around all the area. I do go over some of the section that's already painted just to give you that extra depth in the background, but I really love how this comes together with the ink splatters. It just changes it entirely. The color. So I've washed my brush. Well, I haven't washed it, but I've used a wipe to get it off, and then I'm just adding some water to the light blue greeny color, and on it goes. I'm so technical. Light greeny blue. I'm sure it's got a very purposeful name. And on it goes. And I'm just going to do the dark blue. I do go back and add some more of the pink. I think even more of this light color as well, because when I put the blue on, it overwhelms and it's sort of like the pink goes back into the background and is not as visible. So it's nice to add some more of the pink just to make sure that you can see enough of all the colors going on. It's just one of those things that you just look at, and if it appeals to you, then great, just keep going. But if it looks like it's not prominent enough and you want it to be, then just go back again. There's nothing like with this kind of style. It's just awesome to have splatters going on, and it just makes that background hectic. It's sort of like, you know, that really iconic 80s print where it's got that the bold font words in the middle, you know, sort of like a lightning flash kind of behind it, and it's all shadowed 3D-ish kind of look, and then it has that the black with the splatters everywhere. It sort of reminds me like that as I'm here recording the voiceover weeks later, but that's what in the moment it certainly didn't make me think like that. And you guys are probably going, what on earth is she rambling on about? Crazy woman. I'm just finishing up here. I'm just going to wipe up the paint and dry it just so I can get started, getting set on working on the rest of the layout, because I'm loving it so much. I'm really in the vibe and I need to finish it off. So I put the photo back on to see how it looks and what I want to do to it, and I realised that it needs something on the left-hand side, so I'm going to work out what paper I'm going to put to the side there. And I do like both, but I end up with this pink crosses on the blue just because those colours are the prominent colours happening. And I'm just going to rip down the cardstock, and if you want to have that ripped edge where it's the layered kind of rip where you can see the inside of the paper, you need to pull the paper that you're pulling off to be excess and rubbish. You need to pull it up towards yourself, and that will give you that edge really well. So on goes that pattern paper on the side there, and just cutting them off because I can never put anything on straight. And then just ruffling up that textured ribbed edge just so you can see, and adding that big divot right there just as a little pop of interest. That needed a little rip down, and you can see that it's just perfect now. You can see all the layers and they make the photo pop off the background. So out comes the really useful box tray on top and the thickers from underneath. And I'm going to work out what I want as a title. I don't really want that Wake Me Up, I'm Famous anymore. I sort of was jarring with what's going on in the background. It was too bulky. I try these thickers, these puffy thickers from the All Heart collection, but I'm not liking them. They look well there, like it's not a problem, but it's not gelling with what I'm thinking at that time. So I pull them off. I pull the go off at least, and I figure, well, maybe I'll use these pink ones and make a title with more than one set of thickers. You know how that works together. and then I realised there's no, actually I was going to write 80s girl, and then I realised there was no 80, no, no numbers in the pink thickers. So I pull out these ones that we got, the Dear Lizzie ones, the bluish colour, and I write the 80s, and then I've pulled the girl over there, and I realise it's not going to fit underneath the textured edge, so I'm going to put it up there. It fits really nicely there, but I do prefer the way the title that it ends up being. I can't get the dot from the eye. I do work on it because I'm sure that's going to be what the title needs to be, but those two thickers don't go well together in that way. So it sort of needed like a title. I think if you're going to use them together, that the blue would have to go under the girl as the second word or something like that. But I'm still trying. So I go 80s girl, and then I start spelling out always with these pink stickers that I was surprised how much I absolutely love. Like, I need to buy many more packets. I was worried because of the lowercase, the uppercase. Some of them are like running writing, scripty writing, and others are not, that it was just going to be so hard to use. But I've used them so much and I love them. Like, I think they're like one of the best thickers I've used, and I just need to buy a lot more. So I'm going to spell out always an 80s girl, and I'm just going to make sure that it all fits in there before I make sure I space it a bit better so I'm not doubling up too much. And this is going to be the title. I'm going to pull off that girl that's with the puffy enamel up the top that I've got on that pattern paper there, and we're just going to run with just the title that runs up the page. It's so nice. And something I would not have done, maybe last year, I did not like words going up the page like that. It just bothered me. It took me so long to get out of that mindset of you write left to right. But I'm so glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone enough to make myself think of this title and this layout today. So on goes the rest of the embellishments and finishing off this page. So I've got that word sticker down the bottom happening, and I'm just looking at these other cardstock stickers. I put that butterfly on, and then I pull it off and put it on my hand because I'm sure it's going to go on that page, and I try a few different things, but spoiler alert, it doesn't stay on there. This repeat stamping always and forever, that just fits perfectly up there, and it's going to have a little cluster happening, and we're working on something in this top corner as well. So I love this flower. The size is perfect, and this cassette tape just goes really well with the theme of the photo and just sits nicely underneath that flower, so that stays there, and I work on this bottom cluster, which then bulks out a bit more before that top cluster gets finished. So I found the two hearts and this little pinwheel, chipboard pinwheel, which looks amazing. And I'm trying to work on putting this hand somewhere because I figure it would probably go with this like style of layout, and it's good to get something on while you can, but I couldn't work it. On goes this tag that I just ripped down the middle so that I don't have all the bulk behind my photo. And I find this chipboard bow that goes really well with it. So I put it in there and it's going to move, but at the moment I'm really liking where it is. I'm going through the tags that we got and pull out the two pink ones. The other colours didn't work with what was going on with the layout, but that's okay. Two is plenty. So I'm just laying them up. So I've got that tag on the bottom there, then I've got those hearts and the pinwheel. I've also pulled out one of those paper tassels that we got from the collection, and I'm loving how that's going. So I'm going to glue it down and then work on the rest of the little bits and sprinkles kind of thing. I have pulled out the puffy stickers that are there on the left because I know I'm going to add some of them. Those puffy stickers are amazing. Another thing that are up there with those stickers. Really need a lot of them. So I'm going to work out where I'm going to put this tassel. I do think to put it on the twine, but I don't like how it's sitting. It sort of just is to, like it was just plonked on there rather than nestled into the cluster. So on goes the hearts, because then I'm going to work out where the pinwheel goes. And I do need to move them a little bit just so the pinwheel can sit properly and not cover up all the hearts. On it goes, little poking out from the heart cluster, so that's really cute. It was so cute, that pinwheel. I would not have thought that I'd be able to use it in such a good way when I first seen it, but this was just perfect for it. So on goes that tag. I do like it. It's just a little bit of pink but a lot of white on that tag so that it stands out from the background. And then that tassel is just going to nestle in underneath the photo there. Working out, I need to put some journaling just because, I don't need to put a journaling, but I do want to put some of the journaling on there just because of the story of, cleaning and why that title is there. I was born in the 80s, so I guess it's not like it's that hard to understand the title, but I do have a little bit of a story that I'd like to write, a sentence. So on goes the cassette tape, and then that flower I'm just added up on some foam tape just to add some height. And then I realised I didn't put this second tag in, so I'm going to put this one up the top there. And that just adds some more pink to the top. And then I remember that I've got that butterfly on my hand and decide that, nope, it's not going to work. And I wonder if that cat's going to fit in there as a little nestle, but it was too much pink. So out comes the camera, and that's just the perfect thing to nestle into that cluster, which looks very finished, but it's not finished yet. So I'm going to work out if I could put some flowers, just because I've already got one flower happening. So on goes the flower under here. I'm going to nestle it under some of the letters, and you can see how lovely that cluster comes together. And I'm going to work out, I like how that journaling little label looks under there, under the word girl with the bow, but instead I wanted to put it under here so that it's layered as a little bit of pink underneath that always and forever repeat stamping. So that cluster is done, other than some enamel dots and puffy shapes at the end. Or now. Here goes some puffy. Because I was holding out. It was taking me quite a while to get to my puffy stickers, but I kept thinking about them, and I was like, come on, it's time for puffy stickers, surely. So I'm going to put on a little cassette tape. I'm going to put on the brush and the bobby pins, just because my hair's done and it's looking pretty good in the photo. So that was a nice little addition to the layout. And on goes all the little tiny little bits and pieces that I think just gel with the layout and what's going on with it. Pretty much if it looked like it was going to fit, and then when I hovered it around and it looked good, then on it goes. Those headphones was a very cute little addition as well. Found some hearts in the cardstock stickers and the bow there that I was putting the glue on it so I could put it there with that brush, because that's where I was thinking it was going to go. And then as I went across my page to put it down, I realised it goes here. So add some fun foam so that it's up, because half of it's on the photo, which is up higher. So I'm just going to hold that there. I did put the wet glue on. And here's where I realised I didn't even glue my photo down. Did anyone notice? I moved something because of the bow. It moved it a little, and I was like, what's my photo? I forgot to stick it down. I just got so happy with the clusters and the title and what was going on that I just kept going before I even realised. So I've pulled out this longer journaling strip label. I'm going to nestle it in there, just popping out so that it is part of the cluster, and I'm just going to add a little bit of journaling there, nothing crazy. Just adding some fun foam just to make sure that bow was where it needed to be. Add some journaling, and then we'll come back and work on just the last little finishing touches. Pulled out these word stickers, and that banner's going to go nestle really well there. It's the perfect blue. They were the Pink Fresh Joyful, no, yeah, were they Joyful Day maybe? And they're in the unboxing if you want to check out, or check the link down below and check out in the shop. So I'm just going to work out what stickers or words I want to nestle in. I've got that love in the heart shape there, and it looks so nice having that circle and the phrase up the top. And I dropped them all because there is a million words in this collection and the exclusives and the other ephemera that we got. I'm just going to pull out a couple. I don't want too many. I've got, you can already see that the page is getting towards the almost finished section. I'm going to glue down these ones just to make sure there's a little bit more going down in this cluster, not just all, concise together. And it's pretty much just having a look at all your supplies and working out what's going to work and what you want to put where you want to put it. I did think it needed some little like resin or anything like that. So I looked in my my top drawer and found these bows. So I've got the pink ribbon bow here that I add above the love sticker. Just using wet glue, you don't need to overthink adding some texture and whatnot. And then I'm going to pull out, while I'm holding this, I'm looking in my drawer to the right there, and I pull out this blue, which is the perfect blue, and it's going to nestle in there with the brush and the bobby pins. Because I try a few places, but I think it works so well where I ended up with that underneath that girl. I just pull the page up a little just to see how it looks rather than standing up and down. That's what I was being lazy, I guess. But I'm going to glue that there, and then we're just going to work on some enamel dots and finishing the layout with that way. So dig into my stash again and work out what enamel dot shapes and colours I've got happening, and on they go. Oh, here, no, sorry, I've got my little resin container in, but that's not right. Couldn't find any of the right. So on goes some enamel dots, some hearts, just finishing it off to make sure it's all where I want it to be and it's looking balanced in terms of the little textures, the little icons and embellishments, and the larger layers that are happening in the clusters. I hope you have enjoyed today's video and you are loving the layout as much as I love it. I can't believe how amazing it turned out, and if only all of them turned out amazing like this, that would be an awesome, awesome talent to have. Anyway, if you've stuck with me this whole video, thank you very much. Leave me a comment down below if you would like to let me know something or ask something. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in our next video. So until then, bye guys.